Hello and welcome back to HRD Live, where I'm now joined by Hilary McGrady, Director General of the National Trust. Hilary, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Fantastic. So, what will you be sharing with the audiences today here at the Summit?
Well, my session is about purpose and having a purpose that you're really proud of. And I'll really just be sharing why the purpose of the National Trust is central to everything that we do. Everything from how we welcome people to our properties, how our staff behave, our volunteers behave. It's kind of the central guiding light in everything that we do.
Fantastic. And it's more important than ever now, purpose. I was just having an interview now with somebody actually talking about how younger generations really identify with that purpose. They feel that when you're coming to work, you're really engaged in something that you really care about. But there's so many challenges involved in that, I think, as well. For business leaders watching this who really want to engage in purpose, how do you think is the best way to get that moving? How do you start that process?
I guess there's a few things for me. What you can't do is have a set of words that you don't then live.
Right.
So the challenge is about being able to translate. In our case, purpose is, looking after special places for everyone. How do we make that lived in daily for our staff? So much of what we've been trying to do is make the translation between what it says and what that means in practice. So we've done a complete review of our values, which in turn then help inform them, well, what does that mean in my job? If I'm a conservation assistant, what does it mean? Or if I'm in finance, what does it mean? And I think that's where a lot of businesses get it wrong. They think it's only maybe the leadership that need to worry about the purpose, and it's not people on the ground.
Right.
So that connection is super important.
I was about to ask, you completely got my next question, but where that responsibility is. So obviously a big part of that is leadership, and something like purpose has to have some sort of drive, some sort of leadership. But then how can other parts of an organisation contribute to that then? How can you create purpose as an organisation?
I think you don't create purpose. Our purpose is
already
there. It's there. And people, we're incredibly fortunate that people want to work for the National Trust because of that purpose. So in a way, the motivation is there, but it's still the application is really hard.
Right.
So one of the values, for example, that we have introduced to, which in one sense you would say, well, what's that got to do with looking after places? Making everyone welcome. So I mean everyone. Why is that important? Because in our purpose it says we are for the nation. And if we're not in everything that we do, making everyone feel welcome, well, we're not delivering on our purpose. So what does that mean if I'm a conservation assistant? That means that I do my conservation in front of people. I engage you in that process. I help you understand what I'm doing. I'm up for having that conversation with you. Rather than just looking after the thing, I'm trying to engage you in the process.
Of course.
So trying to find a way why it means something to me in my job is the job of leadership, actually. And I think the other thing is to be leader-led. I need to demonstrate the purpose. I need to demonstrate those values, because if I don't, how can they possibly expect to follow?
Of course. If there are business leaders watching this who are in that state now where they want to get this kind of thing started, they have a purpose perhaps as an organisation, but it's that application that they just can't seem to fathom or get going. Do you have maybe a top tip that you could share that maybe might be the first switch to make in terms of starting with that mindset, in terms of getting it going? What might be your, I know it's quite a big question, but a top tip maybe.
I think our top tip is engaging your staff in the process of understanding the values and forming the values. We spent nearly 6 months asking our staff and volunteers what values would from their point of view, reflect the purpose. So our values came from our staff and volunteers. They didn't come from me, they didn't come from the management, they came from the staff, and we built them up and we crafted them and we've got them down to a really, really fine level of detail so that people recognise them because they were part of the development of them. You cannot force people to respond to a purpose unless they feel it. That has come from somewhere in themselves, and so what we've done is help that come forward.
Fantastic. An inspiring note to end on, I think. Hilary, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait for the session. It's going to be fantastic. That's it for HRD Live for today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow, bright and early. We'll see you then.